everyone, welcome to the Junkyard Dogs podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Valere Endurance. Valere Endurance is a strength and conditioning app which you can download on the Apple Store or the Android Store. It will help you with your strength training. So the great thing about Valere is it will change your weights depending on the feedback that you put into the app. So if you say you could do more reps than what is prescribed, or you could do less because you can't quite manage it, it will adjust your weights. It will track your progress as well, and it has loads of different plans depending on you want to do injury rehab, you want to work on your run training, your bike training, your swim training, etc. And also now there are 16-week training plans on there for 70.3 distance. So guys, go and check it out. It's amazing value for money, and it will really revolutionize your strength and conditioning. So if strength is something that you want to get into but you're not really quite sure where to start, this is the app for you. I'll leave it there with the adverts. That's the only one that I'm going to do, and that I am a part owner of the company, so I really believe in it, and I was part of setting it up with Kate Baldwin and Nick Baldwin, who are professional triathletes. So yeah, give it a go and let me know what you think. Before we go into today's interview with Jake Liam Smith, I just wanted to say that go through some of his PBs and let you know a bit more about him. So Jake is a 13:38 5k runner. He's got a PB of 28:01 in the 10k. His half marathon is a 60-minute and 31-second half marathon, which is absolutely rapid. I mean, basically you can say that his threshold running pace was 13 miles an hour, which is insane. And his marathon PB was a 2:11 marathon, which you'll hear more about in the podcast. And he wasn't even due to be finishing it. He was meant to be pacemaking it until 17 miles. So basically he had one gel through the race, and that was it. And he's got a very unique story. He suffered from Red S. He's battled through eating disorders, come out the other end, and yeah, he recently won the Bath Half, which you'll hear us talk a little bit more detail about into the podcast. The only downside I would say for me with this interview was that I just didn't have enough time. Unfortunately, I had to head out because I had prior engagements, which I'm absolutely gutted about, because Jake is a fantastic interviewer and there were so many more things that I wanted to cover. So unfortunately it ends after just under 40 minutes, but I'd love to get Jake on again after the London Marathon, which you'll hear a bit more about how his training went. And yeah, he's also trained with Joshua Cheptegei in Uganda, which, if you don't know Joshua Cheptegei, he's the current Olympic 10,000 metre champion. He's also the world record holder for the 5k and 10k on the track. So yeah, it's quite amazing hearing about how some of the sessions that he did with Cheptegei when he was out there. As well as the interview, I also wanted to talk a little bit about some of the other things that I've seen this week that's gone on. For instance, Milan-San Remo. If any of you guys listening are pro cycling fans and haven't seen the race, I would definitely say watch that race. If you're not into pro cycling and you were tempted to give it a go, I would say if you watch this race and you don't really enjoy it, then pro cycling isn't for you, because I would say this was an absolutely blinding race. It was probably one of the best cycling races I've ever seen. You just need to start it 1 kilometre before the start of the Cipressa. So basically 20 Ks to go, something like that. It will take you about 25 to 30 minutes and it will leave you riveted. The commentary was absolutely incredible. The racing was fire. It was relentless attacks. I don't really want to spoil it too much and go into who won or who was attacking because it will ruin it. But you just need to watch it. Just check it out on YouTube, Milan-San Remo 2025 highlights, or if you can get on Discovery Plus, sign up to that, and you can just fast forward it to 20k to go, because you don't really need to watch any more than that in this one. But that was awesome. Other news, what I saw was Jakob Ingebrigtsen winning the 1500 and 3k world indoors, which I thought was really interesting to see. Like, the way he just takes these races on is pretty incredible. These races are on BBC iPlayer, so if you're in the UK, or if you're not in the UK, just get a VPN, put you in the UK, download the BBC iPlayer app, and you can watch it. And they were awesome. The way he kind of like messes with his opposition is really interesting. You know, like, he changes his tactic all the time. Sometimes he'll start off at the back and lead people into a false sense of security. Other times he goes onto the front and takes it out hard. But he's just so hard to beat. And I just love the way how he races all the time. He's not afraid of competition. You know, he he did his the European Cross Country Championships at the end of last year. Then he starts with the world record, for his first indoor race at the start of this winter season. Then European 1500 and 3K champion, and then the world 1500 and 3K champion. It was actually quite impressive because the semi-finals were on day one. Then the final of the 3K was a straight final the next day, and then he had to do the final of the 1500 the day after. And I can't imagine your legs would feel too good after just smashing a 3K the night before, and you'd already done a 1500 hard the day before that. So it just shows you the intensity of what his training must be to be able to recover. And like recently, he's been up. He must have employed like a social media manager or someone to do with social media, because there's just been multiple posts a day on Instagram and everything. And he's really been kind of documenting more of his training. And it seems like the guy is always on the track doing intervals. I think I heard on his YouTube channel that he does a session pretty much every other day, or I think it was every other day, he said, which sounds pretty crazy. I mean, I guess some of the sessions aren't too hard, but just that amount of intensity is no wonder why he's able to cope with the back-to-back racing and the relentless schedule that he does. So yeah, that was a little bit on athletics that I saw of note, which I thought was quite good, and I definitely recommend watching those races. Sorry about the spoiler for them, but I mean, to be honest, would you have thought anyone else would have won them races other than Jakob? Also in triathlon, the Pro Series kicked off with Geelong. I'm going to do a spoiler now, guys. So if you don't want to hear the results of this or a little bit of insight into it, then turn off now or fast forward it a bit. But Yellow Gaines won the men's race, and I'm just going to talk about a few things that I saw of note in the race. And I actually thought it was really interesting to see Cam Worth only lose 48 seconds in this race. Unfortunately for Cam, he had a mechanical prior to the race, and he was stuck in one gear. So he had probably the swim of his career, only losing 48 seconds to Matt Hauser, Taylor Reid, the New Zealander, who's a great swimmer, and Aaron Royal. Basically you had all the top dogs in a beach start swim racing there. Cam gets out 48 seconds behind, and then has bike mechanicals, which he knew about before the race and couldn't capitalise on it. So yeah, I guess when it rains it pours, doesn't it? Sorry about that, Cam, but just shows that he's in good form for the season. And if he does race Ironman South Africa or Ironman Texas, I expect him to be quite a threat, actually, because he's pretty solid in these runs. He doesn't run extremely quick, but you can count on him. He's like the postman. He'll always deliver, won't he? You can count he's going to be 2:45 to 2:50 marathoner. If he gets out in that lead group and he can start putting some time into some of his rivals on the bike, he could be quite a big threat, and he could be someone that's actually quite hard to beat this season. I wonder if part of his improvements have been the fact that he hasn't had so many commitments with Ineos this year. It seems from an outsider looking in that he's been allowed a lot more free time and a lot more time to concentrate on his swimming and running. I've seen that he's been swimming with Hayden Wild in Andorra, and it really seems like it's paying off for him. Obviously, Yellow Gaines was fantastic, winning it 67 off the bike. He's started the year where he left off last year, and going into Singapore, I think he's going to be very hard to beat. Who else was of note? Yeah, you had a couple of ITU guys that did well. Kenji Nina, that Taylor Reid as well. They were all up there qualifying for 70.3 Worlds. You also had Jake Birtwistle as well, and all those guys were basically running sub 70. Kenji Nina didn't, he was just a bit over. But Cameron Main, a British guy, 69 minutes. So yeah, some fast runs coming out of Geelong. And unfortunately for the TV coverage, it went down after, 20 minutes or so on the bike. If I'm brutally honest, I did find the commentary quite hard to listen to, really. Like, I was trying to watch it, but I think I was a bit spoilt from watching Milan San Remo earlier in the day and then trying to watch the Ironman commentary. I found it quite painful and actually had to turn it off and just ended up watching Netflix with my missus. So I guess she was quite pleased. But Natalie Van Couveren won the women's. Hannah Berry second. Really pleased to see her doing well. Well, actually, to be honest, both of them, they were both in Taupo when I was out there. Really nice people, really friendly, and good to see Hannah get a good result in the 70.3s, because I know this year, instead of going for the Ironman Pro Series, she signed a T100 contract, so this bodes really well for her. And then, Regan Hollyoake, who won Ironman New Zealand, she was in fourth. I don't know many of the others, if I'm brutally honest, and because the TV went down, I can't really speak about too many of the tactics. I did know on the men's side though that Ben Hill managed to ride his way up from a 2-minute deficit after the swim to getting into the pack. And to be honest, for me personally, that was a really big confidence booster going into Oceanside, because Ben was one of the guys that I swam with at Ironman New Zealand, and we were riding together. For the most of the first lap, we were in the pack, really, that we were in, just cruising. And then I put a dig in, going up the climb for it's about a 20-minute climb. I say 20-minute climb, it's not a proper climb. It's kind of like uphill, then flat, then uphill, all that kind of thing. And I put a dig in, mainly not really to drop the others, but just to work hard so we could really take some time out of the lead group. But it turned out the lead group must have done the same thing. So I didn't really end up making much time, making no time. I just held it in the end. But the lead group started to splinter a bit after that. Our group splintered and me and Ben got away. And then starting the second lap, I said to him, "Come on, mate, let's ride together. We can ride across to the front group." He's like, yeah. We're all like psyched up for it. We're thinking, right, this is our time. So I do a turn, and then he does a turn, and I notice like the pace is like a little bit slower. And I'm like, when I come past, I'm like, "Come on, mate, ride well, right, you're riding well. Come on, like we can catch him. And he's like, "All right." And then after a couple of turns, he says to me, "I don't know if I can do as long as you on the front." I said, "Don't worry, mate. Just do what you can. Give me a minute. Give me a bit of a break every now and again, and I'll carry on going." So then I'm carrying on the front, and then he's giving me about a minute and a half, 2 minutes tops rest every 6 or 7 minutes, something like that, which was actually quite good because it gave me a time to kind of get some nutrition and have a bit of a drink, and kind of reset. And then I was just thinking, right, push hard for 6 or 7 minutes. And then he starts he's fading a bit. And I'm thinking, right, I don't want to tell this guy, stop sitting in, and say negative things to him. How can I get the maximum amount out of this guy that's going to help me get across? So I'm kind of thinking, let's give him some confidence, "Oh, you look like you were going for a bad patch there, Ben, but you look like you're riding strong now," and really psyching him up, getting everything out of him. And then as we're coming up to Arnaud Guillot, this is on the way back now, last 45 kilometres, I say to him, "That guy can run, we need to make sure we don't take him with us." So Ben puts in a big dig, he goes flying past him. I let the gap open up a bit, stay behind Arnaud. Then I hit it hard, 550 watts, something like that. I know it sounds pathetic, 550 watts, but this is at the point when you've been riding 310 watts for the last 3 hours. So it's not like you've got the top end where you can go mega hard, because you wouldn't be able to settle back. So 550 watts sustained for a little bit of time is actually pretty hard. And I think I upped it to 53, 54 k's an hour, bearing in mind it's on the flat into a bit of a cross headwind. So it would have been a big surge for him to try and get back up, because I made sure I hit him with a bit of speed. Got past him, bridged back up to Ben. I said, "Come on, mate, let's keep on going. We can ride across. They're not that far ahead now." And then we're riding, and then all of a sudden, I look back at one point and he's not there. And unfortunately for him, he lost 10 minutes. I was a bit gutted about that, because we were riding so well. And actually, when he fell off the pace, it actually made me fall off a bit, because it felt like at that time we were in it together, when we were really making some good progress. And just having that little period every now and again when you could reset behind him really helped. And when he fell off, it kind of made me fall off a bit. But seeing him in Geelong ride up to the lead group, and then after having ridden with him in New Zealand, was a really big confidence booster for me. So I guess that shows that my cycling's in pretty good form. Well, at least I hope it is anyway after that. Looking forward to Oceanside now. And without further ado, I'll get on to the interview with Jake. Let me know what you think, guys. And I apologise that it did have to finish a bit early, because I was really enjoying it. And honestly, I'm really gutted that I couldn't ask more stuff and get more into it. I could have done with another 20 or 30 minutes. I don't know if Jake would think the same, or if he was just pleased to kind of be done with talking to me or not. But he's a great guy. And if you're in London, give him a cheer. He's a top dog. He's an absolute pit bull, this guy. I've seen the way he races. He gets on the front. He runs hard. He's a proper front runner. He's not like a pack rat, someone that will sit in. This is a guy that will take it out strong. He drills it. He makes people suffer and hurt. And he's what exemplifies, I would say, a proper junkyard dog. So here we go. I'll leave you alone, and here's the Jake Smith interview. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast, and today we're joined by Jake Liam Smith. Jake Smith's like an awesome runner. He's run 60-30 over the half marathon. He's got a PB in the marathon of 2 hours 10, and he's soon to be the next or the very first Ironman triathlete to run sub 2:30 off the bike. So Patrick Langer, watch out, he's coming for you. How are you doing, Jake?
I'm getting very good. My marathon time's at 2:11. I'm going for sub 2:10 in London, so that's the big thing for me this year.
Yeah, and I'd start things off by saying, it was an awesome 40k run. I saw you post up on Instagram the other day. You're not on Strava anymore, are you? So you said only a few people can know the juicy details, but it looks like it's going well. And London Marathon looks like it could be a good one, especially coming off the back of a great half in Bath, where you put 8 minutes into a former Olympic champion.
I know. I was surprised because I spoke to Jonathan Brownlee after it, and I think before it was quite funny because when they brought us up to the line, it was me, Johnny, and Dowie, and they just named off a few things we've done, and they went from Dowie, multiple world champion, European cross, me the 60-30, and then Brownlee. It was just Olympic medalist, ITU champion. It was and I said to him no one's beating you on beating your accolades today. It was incredible. I mean, as triathletes, Bath Half for him is just a training run. So he probably did I think he did a TT bike on the Friday or something. He was it looks like. So I think he did hurt. I saw his splits. I think he did die a little bit.
I saw the splits, and that was not the way you want to run a half marathon, was it?
Nah, because he went off at 15:30, so 65 pace, and he ended up running 70 minutes.
Yeah, I think he'll be chalking that off as one that he doesn't want to remember.
I'm not really sure what happened to him almost.
Oh yeah, I think he was just on a bad day, because I know he won't be happy with 70 minutes for sure. And especially you don't go out running that fast and then with the plan of running the second half in about 34-minute pace, do you, for a 10k?
Yeah. I'm not really sure what happened. The course is very good, and I think he just maybe got ahead of himself. It is downhill the first 5k. Maybe he just basically went over that red line just a bit too early.
Yeah.
And then tried to hold on, and trying to hold on a Bath when the last kilometre is all uphill wouldn't have been very nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I first come across you, Jake, when I think it was you came runner-up to Bacaley, it might have been. This might not be 100%, but I think it was in the London half marathon. And I really remember you because you wore you were wearing Alpha Flies, I think, and you had one pink and one green. And you were smashing it, and I'd never seen anyone wearing that, where they wear two different colours of the same shoe. I thought that's definitely a move was going to get into people's heads. I think if I turned up to a triathlon and I saw someone putting trainers into two different colour trainers on like that, I think I'd already mentally be defeated, because that's a sign that you're definitely confident.
Yeah, that was back in 2020 because that was the World's Half Trials of Britain. Chris Thompson actually came second, so I did come just behind Bacaley, but I mean, a minute and a half. Bacaley just went from the gun. Chris Thompson I think he ran his PB that day. He flew. And I like to make running a bit more fun because, sometimes on the start line, you're you have a lot of pressure. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, but by changing that little stimulus before the race just makes it a bit more fun. So I put on Instagram, should I wear green and pink or pink and green? And yeah, it was funny.
I saw a few people have done that since you did that, but I think you were the first person that I saw that did that. I think if you do that, you've got to be running quick. If I was to do that for a race, I'd be right, I've got to make sure I'm running fast today because I can't do a bad race where I'm wearing shoes like that.
I might try it again at London, to be honest, because I know the outfit's the exact same, and I might just bring it back, just because it just helps. Before a race, I imagine for you, for example, you've raced so many times, so you'll probably have more experience than me. But when it comes to a marathon, you can only actually do a marathon. So Bath Half was my first race of the year, and when you haven't raced for a while, that you're quite nervous.
Yeah.
And so by changing a little thing, and London's my second race, so just by saying, I'm wearing different shoes. You almost forget about the race and you're thinking about where you're going to get the shoes from, which shoes to put on which foot, and actually makes the whole process. It makes the days before the marathon feel a lot easier.
I always find the first race of the year the most nerve-wracking of the lot,
Yeah.
because you go into, even if you've had a really good season the year before, you go into that winter period and you get into training. It's almost like a reset, and you don't know how well everyone
Mm.
else is going. And like, you might have seen some good training sessions yourself in training leading into the race, but it's always so different doing it on
Oh
race day,
yeah.
isn't it? And actually executing what you've seen. And it's almost like once you get that first race out the way, I feel like it's such a weight lifted off your shoulders, and like
Oh
lining
yeah.
up before the gun goes, the like, the 20 minutes beforehand, you can feel the nerves and everything. And it's just, yeah, I find it the worst one of the lot. Like, I'm almost so pleased once I get the first race of the year out, because it's like you said, I've done that now. I can relax a bit. And it's almost like, where you're at then, don't you? Because you've done it
Mm.
in a race, especially like you, if you have a good one like that, where you came back, you smashed Bath half. Now it's like, you probably knew your training was going well anyway beforehand, but now you've kind of got proof that you've done it on race day, and it's like you can go into London a lot more relaxed, and like that shows that you're basically on for a PB if you have a good race, really, doesn't it, in London, especially with a few more weeks to build for that.
Yeah, like it's like you said, like training. It's so easy to do a really good training session because the pressure's not there. Whereas as soon as you must have felt this, but as soon as you stand on the start line of a big race, your heart rate is already up because the nerves are kicking in and everything. So like at Bath Half, I didn't look at my pace once. I just look at my heart rate because for the last couple of years, I know where I can hold my heart rate for a given period of time. I only train off heart rate.
Oh, really? So what,
Yes.
when you do your training sessions, you don't even like think you just look at the heart, all you see on your watch is the heart rate, and the pace, it is what it is, kind of thing, like
So
that.
for example, tomorrow morning like a lot of people do double threshold. So I'm doing like 5x2 kits LT1, and I know where my heart rate max is allowed to go to 175. I don't look at pace. Of course, I put the 2K lap on. I
Yeah.
just run until my heart rate's in about low 170s, just below 170. Then you see the split after. You're like, okay, and it's actually good because for example, tomorrow I'm gonna make it a hillier loop because London is quick, but there are some. It sounds so stupid, but going over Tower Bridge, there are always a little, undulations. And if I just trained on a flat stimulus in Cardiff, when I go to London, it will be such a difference.
So, when you race Bath, then did you just have on your like watch your heart rate, or could you see your pace as well? But then, like, how did that pan out then? Because like, if people were putting moves in and stuff, and obviously you don't want your heart rate to go high, how did the race pan out for you, and what were you looking at then during it?
So I had one screen. The top is, I love it so much, is effort pace. So it is still a little bit slightly guesswork, but I think it's perfect. So when you go up a hill, for example,
Yeah,
and your pace gets slower,
yeah,
but the effort is harder. So it sort of works out when the watch gets it, but when it figures out you're going up like a 4% gradient and you're running X pace, it will say your effort pace is faster. So when you go down the hill, the effort pace is slower, if that makes sense.
what, this is on your watch, what you use, is that a Chorus, is it?
Yes.
And that's what it says.
Yes. So
All
it's
right.
effort pace, heart rate, and cadence. Because I know for me, for example, Bath half my cadence was about 186, 187, and my average heart rate was 182, my max was 188. So holding 182 beats per minute for an hour and 2 minutes is quite a big effort, but I know I can maintain that. And I don't know, it doesn't, because when you're running and if you're going up a slight incline, your pace go down. Everyone loses their head about pace.
Yeah,
Whereas I know I can hold, like when I tell myself before race, I'm like, okay, I know I can hold say 175 to 180 for a marathon. So if, for example, I'm running and I think I'm hurting, but I look at my heart rate and it's 173, I'm like, okay, I'm fine. Whereas if people just look at pace and they see their pace slowing, they just think they're hurting without even realizing they're not.
yeah.
And I think it's also helps me mentally because it means if I see my heart rate drop, I'm like, but I know within myself I can sustain this given heart rate.
So, going into the last, like, say, 3 or 4 Ks of Bath half, where did was that when the decisive moment came and you broke away, or how did that come about? Like, was it Dewey that got like second, and Did he put any digs in to try and drop you, or like how did you manage to break away from him and the other guys?
So the first 5K, Dowie took us out in 14:17. Our first K
Flipping
was
heck.
2:43. He went crazy. It was nuts. And then the second 5K, because it's a 2 lap course, so there wasn't much wind. But when you're running that speed, even a slight bit of wind you're going to feel. And the
Yeah.
second 5K part was into the headwind almost, so that slowed down. And then at 10K, I noticed Dowie was hurting a little bit, so I just hit the front.
How
And
did
me
you
and
know?
Omar, we've
What did you sense from him? Was it his form looked a bit ragged, or could you just hear he was breathing hard? Like, what was it?
not even breathing, but I like kind of went to the front and I kind of like put 2 meters on him. I'm like, okay, he's not sticking with me,
Yeah,
and I just kept going. And then me and Omar kept swapping sort of because like I raced him so many times, so I said, "Oh, help me out. I'll help you out." And then from 10 miles, it was weird, but into the head because this just shows because I put on this weight now. I have so much more strength running through wind. It didn't really affect me. So from 10 miles to the end, I just ran at the front. Didn't even really pick up the pace, but because I was running into a subtle headwind, and Omar is so small,
yeah,
he felt it a lot more than me, and the gap just grew at like 18K. And
yeah.
I knew just from running around, like I run up in the hills the whole time. I'm very strong up hills, and I knew at the end I was like, okay, I can sustain this uphill. And yeah, the last I knew from about 18K I've won this.
Oh, really? So do you find then now, and like you've seen from like lighter runners, and that they really suffer in like when the wind's like gusting a bit and stuff like that, then they just don't have the as much strength. Like,
Well, you saw last year, like Emil came third at London, and
yeah,
the Kenyans and Africans who dropped out, the conditions weren't that bad. It was, I mean, Emil's running 2:06, but Bakayle's running 2:04 at the age of 42. But Bakayle's quite stocky compared to the normal African,
yeah,
whereas all these Africans run so fast in Berlin, in Valencia, when there's no wind. But as soon as they come to Britain, of course you have Kipton running, you have some sensational runners, but if you bring out like 15 Africans, only 2 or 3 actually have incredible races in the UK because they just can't deal with the humidity, the weather, or anything like that. And I think it just shows London is just such an honest and brutal cause. It's a bit like, did you watch the year when in Boston when there was that headwind and Des Linden and Yuki, the Japanese marathon runner, won
yeah,
in
yeah.
the
It was
wind and rain?
terrible conditions, really
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
cold,
yeah. But
horrible. Yeah,
it just shows you like when the conditions get bad, it actually gives us Europeans a chance to win, like
yeah.
to push them to the limit.
One thing I wanted to say to you as well, or speak to you about, and a lot of people won't realise this, but you've got, well, I think it's a really unique story in how you actually came into doing the marathon. Am I right in thinking that your first marathon was the Cheshire one during
Yeah.
lockdown kind of thing, and like, was it a lot of people wanted to get the Olympic qualifying time, British athletes of 2:12, and you were one of the pacemakers for it, but then just carried on going, won it in like, was that where you got your PB, the 2:11?
Yes. So it was weird because a month before, 3 weeks before that, I paced. There was like a separate British trials, and I was only the pacer with Callum Hawkins, and that's who he paced. Chris Thompson won, and then he went to Tokyo. That was around Kew Gardens, and it was really cool event because like in America they do like the Olympic trials for the
Yeah,
marathon. It's amazing. Whereas we don't do that. We don't have that in Britain. But having this separate Kew Gardens one for COVID was incredible. But then 3 weeks later, I paced the Cheshire Marathon, like you said, and I ran the Olympic time. But I promise I only went in to pace, and I mean, I did for a runner, but I did quite a lot. I did like 20 miles on the Friday. I did like a 40, 50 mile cycle the day before the race, and for a runner, that's quite a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
And then on the race day, like I got to like I was only supposed to go to 15 miles, but because it was a lap course and the guy I was pacing, I feel quite bad, but he missed the Olympic time by 8 seconds, and he
Wow.
kept asking me to do a lap, asking me to do a lap, and I got to 20 miles, and I looked at my watch, and I'm like, you know what? I've got this far. Like, I might as well just go for it. And I asked the organizer because I'm not never 100% sure if pacers are allowed to finish races. So I just asked, "Oh, am I allowed to finish?" And he said yes. And I ran 2:11 flat. I took one gel during the race. My mum just gave me one gel because I didn't think I was going to finish.
Flipping heck.
And yeah, it was quite a fun day. And that's where my 40K yesterday was on the same course, same loop.
Oh, really? One thing I was going to
Yeah.
say to you about that was, or about 2021 in general, do you have any regrets from not doing the trials? Because obviously, seeing how well you did at that
Yes.
race, 3 weeks,
Yes.
yeah, because you would have had a great chance of going to the Olympics. And to be honest, I think you would have made the team because you were to do that off one gel, literally in that training block. It's like you could have been at the Tokyo Olympics, couldn't you? And it's obviously hindsight's easy to say, isn't it? Now, but like. That must feel like an opportunity. Like if you could have gone back in time now, if you could go back to 2021, knowing how well you would have done 3 weeks later, you'd do the trials, would you? Like,
I mean, yeah, Callum Hawkins said to me it's 17 miles during the trials when I paced 3 weeks previous. He
yeah,
said, just finish it. Because he already got a spot.
yeah,
So he was pacing, and the first two under 2:11:30 at the trials went.
yeah.
And he literally said to me, he looked at me and turned, because we were talking the whole
Were
time.
you two off the front then at this point as well? Then like you were
No,
pacing
no, so
that.
we were just pacing. So me and Callum were pacing.
Oh, Callum was
Dowie,
pacing as well.
yeah, Dowie's, because he already had been pre-selected.
Yeah,
So he just had to prove form. So he just went to 20 miles pacing the Olympic time.
yeah, yeah.
And he literally turned to me at 16, 17 miles and said, Jake, just finish it.
And why didn't
And I
you?
was like, I can't. So I was aiming for the 10K.
Oh,
Yeah, but that was a whole nother story. I DNF that race because the week before the trials, I did a 10-mile session on the track. It was like a K on, K off. And I ran 45:20 on the track. It was like my Ks on were 2:42. So I went 2:42 and my Ks off for 3:02. So I
Jesus
had
Christ.
no jog. It went 2:42, 3:02, 2:42, 3:02 for 10 miles. And then
Flipping.
8 days later, I pulled out of the trials because I was so buggered.
God, 2:42 pace is like 27, isn't it? That's like 20.
Yeah. I buggered myself because I was in some very good shape. Um, I had a tendency back then to all my training sessions were substantially better than my racing. Like for example, I ran that marathon as just part of a training run, for example, and it just comes to show like I'm trying to get into that mindset now where my racing is substantially better than my
Yeah,
training.
yeah.
Whereas beforehand, I think I was
You
probably
left
the
it in
best
the
ever
training.
trainer in the world.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing to say though is if you did it on a 2:11 marathon in in training like that off one gel, you must be really fat, like good at like burning fat for fuel as well, like at that kind of intensity. That's pretty
Yeah,
incredible.
but that's the thing, like because I think I was struggling with like Red S and everything. I didn't really realize I was struggling then. My body was basically on zero, and by neglecting it so much, I think that's when 2022 was just I broke
What makes
basically.
you think that you were suffering from red S back then? Like what, looking back now, what were some of like the warning signs that you obviously were experiencing but you didn't realize at the time?
Well, I was weighing myself every single day, and I wanted to be lighter and lighter. I would weigh every single thing. So like I'm a big fan of Nutella, peanut butter and everything, but I would like weigh every single spoon I had. I would what else would I do? I almost started like having only a litre of water a day because I didn't want to put on water weight.
Whoa, only a liter of water a day.
It was pathetic. Like, I would follow the same sort of thing. I actually got like an app to see how much I was eating, and I was eating like 2,000 to 2,500 calories when I'd burn 4,000 or 5,000.
Wow.
In 2022, when I had the stress fracture in my foot, it actually took a month longer to heal because I neglected all my food.
Cool.
So it just got really, really bad.
I can't believe you were able to actually train at that like to a
But
half
that's the
decent
only thing I
level.
could do. Like I think I lost friends. Affected my relationship with my girlfriend. I like ruined a holiday with my parents because I only had the energy to train, like the mental energy to train,
Yeah.
and then I'll just literally just dwell until the next training session.
What you just be like laying down because you were just
Yeah.
exhausted like all the
Well,
time.
yeah, and I don't think I ever realized it. But then if I try to do something else, like it would just affect me in the next few days. I'd pick up niggles, pick up illnesses. It just wasn't very good.
God. And then was it at the end of 2021 when you got the offer to join the NN running team?
Yes,
And then the start of 2022 was when you went to Uganda on the training
yes.
camp. So what was that whole time like, and how did you find the training in Uganda? Because I mean, you got to train with Cheptegei when he was like in world record 5K,
Yeah.
10K kind of thing. Not long after that, I mean, that must have been a hell of an experience to see, what the top 5, 10K runner in the world is doing firsthand, and actually join him for sessions.
I mean, Uganda is the most beautiful country I've ever been to,
Really?
and it's I can't really explain how amazing it is.
Yeah.
But it's like Kampala's the capital city, so you go to Kampala, and then you have to drive. It's only like 200 miles, but it takes 10 hours because there's no road system. Like you're just driving at people. To Kapchora, and that's where Jacob Kiplimo, who just ran 56 for the half,
Yeah, I wanted to
lives.
talk to you about that a bit later,
Yeah,
like what you think of that. But yeah,
and every Monday morning we just met at a a, a football pitch, and I remember one Monday morning there was like 10 Olympic champions there, and that
wow,
but no one cares. You just
yeah,
run. Chaps guys that they don't have they now have a track which is at 2,500 meters altitude, but when I was there they didn't have a track. They would literally run on a circular dirt, I don't even know what I call it,
really,
dirt pitch. Chepsky was running 52, 53 seconds 400s. You don't know if it's 400 meters, you
yeah.
have no clue,
Was
but
it
it is.
cinder or was it worse than cinder? Like more
No,
like
no, no, it's
trail?
like, no, it's just like,
Just an oval that they found somewhere, and they're like, "This will do," and it's all bumpy and everything like that.
I can't. It's just there's no grass.
Yeah,
It's trapped. Like there's divots. It's not even. There's no cinder.
yeah.
There's nothing's been
Worse
made up
than
there.
that.
It's just like you know when you're climbing a mountain, that rocky
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah.
It's just that.
Flipping it.
Like yeah, it's and he would run like 50-second 400s on this thing.
So can you think back to when you did a session then on there with him, like where you were doing something like that, and what was
So I could never run that quick, but I would train with Victor Kip Blangat, who won Commonwealth Marathon in Birmingham.
wow,
And he was world champion. And I knew I was in some shape because I would stay with him in every single session. But that's when I started neglecting food insanely. I lost 4 kilos in like a month. No, in like 3 weeks. I got down to 51 kilos as a 23-year-old.
51 kilos.
Yeah, I got down to 51, 52 kilos.
And how tall
And
are you as well?
I'm only 5'8", but
Yeah, that's still incredibly light. Like,
yeah, and it was quite weird because one morning, like, you look at the Africans and you say, oh, they're quite skinny. The Ugandans came up to me and said, Jake, you look too skinny.
yeah,
So, yeah, I knew something was up. And I remember the day I left, I could not physically run up a hill
really,
because I wasn't injured. I was so,
your body was just depleted.
yeah. And then I came back to UK, did some blood test. My testosterone was 4. And at the time, the woman's testosterone had to be below 5 to compete. So I take the piss, but technically I was a female athlete.
Flipping it, you'd have been a hell of a female athlete if you were keeping up with that Commonwealth champion, and then you would suddenly rock up into like the next
I
Commonwealth
know.
Games.
I had anemia. It was a bad place, and like yeah, it was not good.
I think going back to when you were in Uganda as well, I remember seeing that you did one road session, and the times were absolutely incredible. It
Oh
was something like a 5K or a 4K and then a 3K or something
yeah.
like. And you were there with like Kip Limo doing that, weren't you, as well? And or Cheptegei,
Well,
sorry, you were there with Cheptegei doing that. And
yes. So
what?
we went. So we actually went down altitude. So it was only like 1,200 meters altitude. So you can run very fast. It was 5K, 4K, 3K, 2K, 1K, and it was quite a lot of rest in between because like they don't really. They want the most quality. So if they have a minute extra rest, they don't really mind.
Yeah,
But we ran the 5K and it was only like 14:40, and I paced that. The 4K we started moving, it was like 11:20. The 3K I ran 8:24. Chep's guy ran like 8:05.
yeah.
The 2K I ran like 5:30 something. Chepsky just pisses off, and then the kilometer, like no one can physically stay up with Chepsky. So it's Chepsky going off by himself, and us three just in a group behind,
Yeah.
and we cannot fit. I've never seen someone like my girlfriend was there and came for 2 weeks, and she didn't want to watch me. She just wanted to see Chepsky run. You've seen him when he's Olympic champion. His
Yeah.
form, insane,
So what
and
would
he's just
he
running
close?
on a local road by himself. Just bang.
What would he kind of close that session out then? The 1K, would he have been like under 2:40 then?
It was like 2:30. It was something ridiculous.
Wow.
It was like he put such a gap on us. I've never seen anything like it.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's when you're in the like amazing form as well
This
at
thing,
that time.
I went in like pacing 2:11 marathon, running 28 flat. I just couldn't stay nowhere. He made me look like a 35-minute athlete.
And what would he say to you? Would he like kind of get you guys like what's he like as a person? Does he kind of
I
get you psyched up
he's
and
so he's so honest, and like he's an athlete I really appreciate, because he doesn't. You get some athletes who only talk to some athletes if they're good.
yeah,
He's a guy who will talk to anyone.
yeah.
So he takes anyone in, and he wants to help you. And another thing is, he tells you how it is. If he thinks you're doing something wrong, he will say.
Did he ever say that to you?
So he knew towards the end I was struggling.
Yeah,
So he said, "Jake, we need to like." I think he did get a little bit worried towards the end.
yeah.
I was starting to smack everything.
You were out there with your missus as well, weren't you, at the time? And
Yeah.
what did she say? Did she say like, "Oh, do you think you need more fuel and stuff like that?" Or would she kind of say anything, or would she not really, because she's not from a running background, did she not really know? So she kind of like left you to it and thought, well,
Was very scared when she came out, because I'd only been gone for a week, but she could already tell I'd lost some weight.
wow,
And then she watched me for the 2 weeks, and she knew if she said something, I would almost, because not in a bad way, but because I was such in a bad place, I would almost, if she said something, I think it would just trigger something, and I would just not eat or anything.
yeah,
And she was so scared to say something. She thought it would make me eat less, almost.
yeah,
And as soon as she came back, it was annoying, because that's when, at the end of 2022, I knew I need something to change, because I actually, when I went away with my parents, I think we basically went out for food, and I stormed out the restaurant because they gave me a portion too big and I didn't want to eat it.
yeah,
Ruined that holiday, and she actually started bursting into tears because she didn't know how she could cope with this. She went through that whole year. It's astonishing. I owe her so much, because it's astonishing she kept with me when I just wasn't there for her. And I knew I needed to change something, because the fact I'm making my girlfriend cry when I haven't even done anything to her is because what I'm doing to myself. She was so scared what I was doing to myself.
How did you manage to kind of turn a corner in all this? Because you've done it in what I would class as like a relatively short period of time, and like what was the first steps, and how have you managed to, get things back on the straight and narrow?
So at the end of 2022, that's when I had my stress fracture in my foot. My best mate, we were on a night out, and it was like, I didn't go on, man. I went, when I was injured, I started to go on a bit more because I knew I wasn't running.
Yeah,
But at the end, over Christmas, you almost go out with mates and stuff. And he came up to me on the night out and said, "Jake, we need to get you some help." And quite a few of them came over and said, "We need to get you some help. Like, Katie's getting really, really upset and everything." So at the start of 2023, I spoke to Pippa Warven, who's head of Project Red S. And she explained she went through Red S, but when she came back, she actually represented Britain at Eurocross. And so when I had the foot stress fracture, it healed. And then in March 2023, got the sacrum stress fracture. I was like, okay, something's not right, because how have I got another stress fracture when I've barely done any high impact stuff? But because I ruined my body from the previous years, my back just went.
yeah,
And I knew I needed to change something, because, like I said to you, like, I was making my girlfriend upset, and she means the world to me, but she was so scared of what I was doing to myself, nothing to anyone else. Something had to change. And it was tough because I did 5 weeks of no training, like no cross training, no walking, no run, like literally. I went back home to live with my parents, and I knew I needed to do something, but it was a bit of a shit and hard period because I just didn't know what to do, and
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't help myself. And but I needed it, and I'm now the happiest I've ever been, and it's been almost 2 years since then. Of course, I picked up niggles. Like the longest I've had off was last year. I had like 2 weeks because I partially tore my popliteal, but that was from trying to do a marathon during track season, which probably didn't help.
yeah,
Uh, but it's been like the biggest 2 years, and then I ran 62 at Bath, and even Katie said, she said after Bath, she's like, I've seen what you go through like these last 2 years, and you almost think like, what's the point of running? And then then I watch you at Bath, and you're like, you do all that for the last 30 seconds and see how much it means.
yeah, yeah.
You must have felt with this, like you go through such bad days, and then that one day where it pays off, that one race, you're like, now I know why it's all for it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You can't beat that feeling, can you? And before Bath, did you feel like was quite a bit of pressure kind of a mountain? Because I think I heard on you on the Inside Running podcast, and you said like you wanted to do well this year because obviously your sponsorships with I think NN
Yeah.
Running, does it run out at the end of this year, but Nike carries on for a bit longer, or am I right, or something like that?
Yeah. So, and then of like Nike have been unreal to me, and then they do want the best out of athletes and everything, and I haven't really shown myself the last 2 years. And I know there's like, you've seen athletes, they've been dropped and everything, and I know I need to put something down on paper. And I think by running Bath and winning it on not even the fastest course in that time shows I'm getting back to my best.
Yeah,
And so I know I need to do London. I need to run a very decent time, but I have said to them, like, at the end of the day, I don't care if I get dropped by any. I'm not pushing myself to that limit to run, say, 207, because I know if I push myself to that limit, I will get injured again. I'm taking it step by step by step. And if that means in 3 years' time I run a crazy good time and then get re-sponsored or something, then so be it.
yeah,
But I'm taking because that's what I did 3-4 years ago. I tried to get as fit as possible, and I thought I needed to run the fastest ever I could in that period. But you've seen the marathon age now. But Katie's running 2:04 at the age of 42. It's so old now with the new shoes, the new plated shoes. I could still have another 15 years of my life in the marathon career.
yeah.
So I need to take it step by step.
Yeah, no, definitely. And saw as well that you posted up before Bath Half, I think, no, actually it was after Bath Half, that this will show the people that had kind of been saying that you
Yeah.
were like written off and stuff like that. Like, I find it amazing that people would actually say that about you because you're still like in your mid-20s, aren't you? What are you, like 24 or something
So
like
I'm
that?
26 now, but
26. Like, it's
have
still
you
so
seen
young.
Let's Run? Let's Run. And I know a lot of British athletes have said, like, I'm washed and everything, or like, I won't get back to my best. And by just running 62:20, and like I said to you, I know it's not my PB, but my second fastest time ever is only 61:54.
Yeah,
So to be within 26 seconds of that, and the last kilometre in Bath, I lost 15 seconds because of the hill.
yeah,
You are like, okay, he's only, what can he actually run? And now I'm going for a PB over the marathon. Like, I'm now showing I can win races. I'm beating all these people. And the thing is, you always get that, like, look at Kipchoge. Look at all these athletes saying, oh, he's washed now. How can you honestly say Kipchoge's washed what he's achieved in his lifetime? Like, he's made running the way it is at the minute.
oh, it's a massive running boom, isn't
Like,
it, at the minute? Like, everyone is huge. Like, and I think that stuff
yeah,
too, and all the hype from the carbon shoes and everything has just made it spiral. But what does David Goggins say? That you'll never see a hater that like is doing better than you. You know, like all the haters are always people that are never as good.
no, exactly. So, yeah, so that I thought that would be quite funny just around Strava. Like, that's for all you guys who said I was washed.
Just before we go, because I'm running short on time and I don't want to take too much of your time as well, Jake. I just wanted to ask you a question about the Jake, Kerr and Ingebrigtsen. Like, what did you think of their rivalry in the lead up to the 1500 at the Olympics? And are you team Ingebrigtsen or are you team Kerr? Like, what do you think on that?
I think we need more of that stuff in running
Yeah,
because it it created a new audience. And at the end of the day, you need a rivalry in the sport. And I loved it. I loved every. I think Jakob is, well, probably one of the greatest ever runners already.
yeah,
And I think what he said, I because I'm being British, of course, you have to almost support Kern. I think Kerr's incredible, but Jakob, what he said about he turns up to anything. He's won Eurocross. He turns up to every single race. So I think Jakob is just, yeah, I think I'm probably am team Jakob because he just does everything and he shows he can compete at every level and no one else in the world can do what he does.
yeah, totally. That's exactly what I think. Like, I would like Josh because he's English,
Yes.
but the fact that you only see him a couple of times a year
Yeah.
doesn't really get you excited. Whereas, like you say, with Jakob, he's like at the European champs battling over the cross country. Then he comes out season opener in the indoor mile, breaks the world record. Then he's like at it again 2 weeks later, does the double.
Double European champ, double world indoor champ. Like he is, no one can say anything about him because he just shows up to everything.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and yeah, I really like that as well about him. And do you think he'll break the world record this year for the 1500?
I think he's a bit scared of it, at the minute. I think he is. I think he needs another year, but then the form he's in at the minute is incredible. Um, and of course, because we have the lights now, we have better paces.
Yeah,
It is a bit easier,
yeah,
but it is still ridiculously quick. And that's probably why he broke every other world record because they were a bit easier.
yeah.
But that that 1500 world record is, I can't really put my head around it how quick it is.
Just before we go, I just wanted to say, ask you where can people find you racing this year? Obviously, you're doing London Marathon, and what will the season plans be after that?
So after that, I want to target because the road running champs, they were supposed to be in San Diego in October sometime, but they've been cancelled. But apparently they're going to happen 6 weeks later, but we're not sure which country yet. And you need to run under 62 minutes for it. So
Yeah,
running 62:20 at Bath, I missed it by 20 seconds. So I'll probably go to Copenhagen or find a half marathon in August to just get under the time and then go to the road running champs. Because Bath half was the trials.
yeah.
So I won the trials and I just now need to run the time. And it's only I need to make 21 seconds. And if you take out that hill, you take out the celebration, I've got it.
Yeah, no, well, good luck with that, Jacob,
Thank
and
you.
thanks for joining me on the show. It'd be
Thank you.
great to catch up with you after London or something like that. And
Yes,
thanks.
that'll be perfect.